Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Brought to you by Blue Sky Business Consulting. We discuss 5 questions in about 15 minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. As always, we're excited that you're choosing to join us and listening or watching the podcast. And I'm excited to welcome our guest today. This is Rob Gallaher. He is a serial entrepreneur out of San Jose, California. Rob, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. Tell me a little bit about some of the projects that you're working on, because you're doing some cool stuff.
We just started ProfitX, which is going to be a company helping business owners implement profit sharing programs in their business. But I run a car wash, a construction company, plumbing company, an HVAC company, and a restoration company currently in San Jose.
Wow. So yes, you are very much a serial entrepreneur. I love it. Well, I'm excited to hear about the responses to the questions that we're going to talk about today. So we'll jump right to it. Rob, sometimes in companies or even within a smaller team, the energy levels can kind of sag a little bit. How can leaders infuse more energy into their teams?
You know, I love this question because I think it's pretty simple, although it may be hard to do every day. As a leader, you have to bring the energy. And it's the way that you walk into that room, the way that you walk into the office or onto the job site. And it could be something simple as a smile or just having a little extra pep in your step. But in my experience, for me, that's what I use, and it's the best way to bring energy into a room.
I love that. I love the simpleness of just smiling. If nothing else, get that smile on the face, because that'll get everybody lifted up rather than that frowning depression look that sometimes people carry with them all the time. All right, question number 2. How can leaders promote learning in their company or team?
So do it. We have a book club here in my companies that we do, and then we do weekly trainings where we'll talk about leadership, marketing, communication, anything that we think we need to, spend some time focusing on in that area. Maybe it's something we struggled with. Maybe it's something that we just want to, hammer down on, or it could just be a random topic that somebody on the team picks out to talk about. But people want to be like, oh, can you just learn on your own or do this stuff? You actually kind of got to lead the way, right? You got to, as the leader, you should be the reader, promoting reading, other people reading things and learning things, and then engaging them in trainings and classes.
A quick follow-up question. You mentioned that sometimes people will make some suggestions. Do you plan that out a certain time in advance, weeks, months in advance on, hey, let's study this or let's read this book the next month? Or how far in advance do you usually plan something like this?
I'd love to tell you that we plan months ahead and it's all perfect, Sean, but it's usually like a couple weeks before. It could be
great though.
Yeah, my HR can come to me and be like, I see a lot of maybe lack of urgency in the team, and like, okay, let's have a training on urgency maybe. Or I'll have a dispatcher come to me like, hey, communication seems to be slipping a little bit on these things or some of the details. Or maybe someone's struggling with being organized. So we'll do a whole class on organization skills and different methods and tips and tricks in that area.
I love that though, because I think that's part of the reason why I asked the question. Sometimes it is good to have it in advance, but sometimes you need to be able to respond in the moment and be able to take care of a situation that's kind of a current, and you can't do that a year in advance. And so I love that you guys are responsive to the needs of the team and the company and what you're observing, and then allowing people to provide input as well. Love that. Okay. Question number 3, share one tip for effective delegation.
And delegating, this is my tip. Delegation is not as easy as you think it is. And if you think you're really good at it, you should probably need to work on it some more.
That's good, because I think there's always room for improvement, but you're absolutely right. As soon as we think that we've got something figured out, it's probably time to go back and revisit it and make sure, because
yeah, exactly.
I don't always think it's going to.
That's a big topic, Sean. We could talk about that for an hour.
Yeah, it really is. It's a big one. That's why I kind of emphasize one tip, because there are many. But yeah, I like that, making sure that you're keeping yourself in check and making sure that the folks that you think you're delegating to are in fact receiving the delegation the way it was intended. I like that.
Right.
All right. Question number 4. How can a leader effectively communicate the vision and mission and values and some of those things to the employees so that they understand it more deeply than perhaps just writing it on the wall? How would you recommend that leaders do that?
I think personal stories repeated are a great way to do it. I think great leaders, the old saying, leaders are readers. I think good leaders are great storytellers, and they can tell the stories from the beginning of the company of why it was started and what we're doing and why we're doing it and where we're going. And the more and better of a story that you can tell around that is the best way to implement those ideas into your team.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's a great great way to explain it, is to tell it in the form of a story and make it real and make it compelling. I like that. All right, question number 5, our last question. I mean, this is, of course, one of my favorite questions as we wrap up the podcast. But share a baseball story. I'm excited to hear it.
Oh, so I'm in the Bay Area. We have the Giants and the A's here, and I am a equal opportunity fan. I'll go to both teams' games and have a great time. And one time we rented a suite at the A's game. It's a lot cheaper than the Giants games, right? So we rented this whole suite. We were out in center field, and we were playing the Angels, and Mike Trout was playing center field that day. So after a few drinks and having a really nice evening, I started to taunt him from the suite window, and by calling him power bait and something about a fish and just making fun of his last name Trout. And I started to get his attention to where he threw me a ball from the field up to, very accurate arm, by the way, to the window of our suite, and I caught it. And so I dated it and wrote on there what it was about, and it's sitting in my office right now. So pretty.
I love it. I love it. He acknowledged you, and obviously an accurate arm. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That's a great story. I love that. So you have I guess it's probably not autographed though, right? You probably didn't have time to autograph it, but hey, a ball from Mike Trout is still a ball from Mike Trout.
Right. It's still pretty cool, the fact that I was loud enough to get his attention. It took multiple innings. Like, he would look, and then the next inning he would wave. And then finally I'm like, throw me a ball. Come on, power bank. Then he finally did. And I think he was having a good time.
It sounds like it. That's a great story. I love that. Thanks for sharing that, Rob. And Rob, thank you so much for taking time to be on the podcast today. How can people get a hold of you?
ProfitX.co is our website for the profit sharing for business owners. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Rob Gallaher. I'd love to connect and share pictures and wild stories about what's going on.
Oh, that's great. I love it. All right. Thank you again. And thanks to all of you who subscribe and join us in this effort to improve our leadership and our teamwork and all of those good things that need to happen every day to help everybody have a great experience at work and in the workplace. And if you haven't already, pick up your copy of Rapid Fire Leadership, the book all about leadership in teams based on this very podcast that you're watching or listening to. So thanks to everybody who is joining us, and we wish you a great day. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, go to teamengagementpodcast.com. We also invite you to follow or subscribe to our podcast wherever you may be listening or watching. Is your business thriving? Go to tbs-score.com to find out. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.